our biggest asset is a mindset that comes before the strategy and anything that we do with growth marketing, because by showing we understand our customers' problems and that we actually want to help them, we can speak on their terms and follow through with their objectives rather than prioritizing ours. And then we take that trust and that brand equity and we take it with us and follow where the customer goes versus, self-promoting and making the customer come to us.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Tracy Lisowe. She's the Senior Digital Marketing Strategist at C.D. Smith Construction. Tracy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to have you. So Tracy, why don't you start and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I got started in marketing when I decided to pursue graphic design at UW-Stout here in Wisconsin. And I also pursued industrial and product design concentrations because I was really interested in strategic problem solving and that part of it, which goes hand in hand with sales and business. But my career took a weird turn when right out of college, I got married and helped my husband run a financial services business. So that got me a lot of experience with direct sales and learning about the customer experience and tying that psychology together with sales and marketing alignment. And then from there, after 10 years of that, I took a position as a project coordinator and administrative manager for architectural and interior design division of Kohler Company. And then really where I started to use marketing in my career was when I joined a building materials company called Beagle Stone. And that's where I really advanced my go-to-market strategic planning and digital content experience in my career before joining C.D. Smith Construction as a strategist.
I love that. It sounds like you've had, a really interesting journey bringing you to C.D. Smith. Tell me a little bit more, about what C.D. Smith Construction does.
We're a solutions provider in commercial construction. So we connect business leaders with industry experts and our field leaders in construction. And it's really about solving their spatial business challenges so that they can grow. And it's more about their relationship development and building upon their current success with growth options that will fulfill their short-term and needs and their long-term vision. So
interesting. Tell me a little bit more.
Well, our history is pretty much like boots on the ground. Everyone from the leadership team to field ops to myself, we all roll up our sleeves. And that's what kind of surprised me because it's a pretty large company, but I knew a lot of the people from hometown Wisconsin. And I really like that mentality because you don't truly know it unless you're in it. Right. So, and that started with our founder, Charles Smith, back in 1936. He was working for a different company. And then 5 years later, his son joined him, Donald, and then continued to grow with Tom Baker. And Tom Baker is still here today. He's upstairs. He drew construction designs for local businesses on napkins and no way. He built it. So yeah, it's a pretty cool story. And then, so Tom Baker is still here, then Donald's son, Gary Smith, and then Charles' great-grandson, Justin, is our president and CEO today. So it's just crazy. Their original mindset was to exceed owners' expectations. So it always started with the customer experience. They've always been in it, doing the work and leading the work. And then it's continued through the generations because even still today, it feels like a small company, even though it's big, because we all have the same goal of customer understanding to go above and beyond with everything that we pursue. So
That's fantastic. And I know, Tracy, you mentioned, I love hearing the history of companies and I love, the boots to the ground. So I know I think you mentioned, hospitality being one of the industries that CD Smith, construction really works in. Are there other industries and niches that CD Smith has?
Yeah, we're in a variety of verticals like arts and entertainment. We're working on the Wisconsin Center right now with Gilbane, civic and government. Like we started with water treatment and wastewater treatment, which isn't glamorous, but it gave us a great start, and we have great relationships in that industry. Corporate offices, schools and education we build, healthcare, hospitality, like you said, housing. We built a large mass timber development that made the news. Industrial, like dairy and food processing, cheese is big in Wisconsin. Other manufacturing, and then mixed use retail, and there's more, but those are the main ones. Yeah,
That's fantastic. And, there are a lot of other construction companies out there. So talk to me a little bit about how CD Smith Construction is really able to differentiate itself from its competition and stand out.
we take our sales hat off. Is really how we stand out. We're not really self-promotional. We talk to our customers collaboratively. That's part of the boots on the ground, like a consultant. So our biggest asset is a mindset that comes before the strategy and anything that we do with growth marketing, because by showing we understand our customers' problems and that we actually want to help them, we can speak on their terms and follow through with their objectives rather than prioritizing ours. And then we take that trust and that brand equity, and we take it with us and follow where the customer goes versus, self-promoting and making the customer come to us. So we don't make them come to us on our terms, because we're authentic in our intentions, and we have real conversations about what's important to them. And then we carry it through. We're in their corner. So it's marketing and business development and growth isn't just promotional, it's a mindset. And that's like a go-to-market strategy that sets us apart. It's our total approach and mindset. Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. So important too, really in every industry, but specifically in construction. So, and when you're talking about your clients, are there certain like client profiles that you tend to see trends in who tends to work most with CD Smith Construction?
The client profiles kind of align with our niche and our verticals. So we don't really have personas, because we can wrap our arms around our target accounts, and we really want to get to know them. So as far as, every customer is different and we treat them that way. So no matter how much we think we know, we start with that consulting mindset, and it's pretty much about customer understanding and the niche that we serve by learning more about it. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
yeah, we're really focused on like healthcare and hospitals. They have a unique set of problems that we really got to dig into with them, or challenges when they're growing. And like the dairy and industrial and food processing, they have all these FDA regulations, and when they're expanding, we have to be able to do that simultaneous to their existing operations. So it's all like, the more we dig in with them and we keep it have that continuous feedback loop, the client profiles are always evolving by what we're seeing in their industries. So yeah.
And, obviously, I think it, like you said, it differs based on the industry, talking about your clients. Would you say that the biggest challenge that your customers have is maybe not necessarily understanding, maybe that's not the right word, but knowing when they can reach out to CD Smith, or really, how much CD Smith is able to tackle for the clients? Would you say that is one of their biggest challenges, is needing that support from CD Smith?
Well, like you said, a lot of times people have never built before. It's like when we build a house, right? Like they don't know what they don't know. So we have to kind of get out in front of them by giving them interesting information that will help them when they do get to that point of needing more spatial capacity to grow their business. So like, that's where the word of mouth and always like being with them wherever they like to be or hang out online or in real life. Like we're going to school conventions for how to make schools better overall, not just about building schools, or we're going to the Cheesemakers Association outings and trade shows to learn about their troubles so that we're like, what does apply, what doesn't apply. And then when they're at that point, they're like, hey, I saw CD Smith, or they mentioned something about this struggle or how they solved this challenge for a peer of mine. And then, they trust their peers over us. So if their peers are sharing it or if they had a good experience building something with us, then they're going to come to us when we're ready and we can give them more information that's specific to their particular situation.
I think that's fantastic. And, to that point as well, would you say that that's a common misconception?
Yeah, a common misconception is that we solve construction problems, but we really solve like business challenges. Like businesses need to grow, but they need to continue operating to bring in revenue and profit, right? That's why we're all in business. So a common misconception is that, oh, if I have a construction problem, I'll go to CD Smith. No, if you have a business strategy and you need to grow a problem, or not necessarily, it's a good problem to have because you're growing, but you also need to continue, like if you're a hospital, you need to continue healing patients and in an environment that's not contaminated. And, the day-to-day needs to happen in the right way with us, adding an addition, or like a school. We have to phase projects to go around, student learning today, but also like if they're going to take on additional students, the students of tomorrow, to have the educational tools and spatial flexibility and technology and incorporate that. We need to do that, in the summer when they're not in school, or like same thing with, like I've said before, like food processing, production has to go on. Their stuff can't be contaminated. So there's a lot of like false walls and things to keep the construction out and the people in and performing. And then once we're done, we can open it up and they can continue being even more profitable. So, yeah.
I think that's fantastic. And, when you're talking about reaching, you're reaching potential customers, you are the senior digital marketing strategist. So talk to me about the importance, because you mentioned it a few times about having those, those face-to-face conferences. Talk to me a little bit about, the strategies that you use, in your marketing role to reach, new and potential clients.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because there is a lot of overlap with digital and in person. It ends up not being just digital. I mean, it's like you have analog people and then you have digital people. Like some digital people might say, oh, we're having a meeting today, and they might call this an in-person meeting, even though we're on Zoom. So it's all interconnected and it is a team effort. But part of what I've done to help grow the business is kind of define the processes that align with our strategy for relationship building. Because especially when you're in a service industry with these big decisions, it starts with developing those relationships and trust right out of the gate. So, and word travels fast if you're doing the right things and the wrong things. So it helps when the whole foundation of your business is, remember, exceeding owners' expectations with Charles and Donald from the start. And so that's always been a powerful form of marketing for us in most traditional businesses, is the word of mouth. So my role as go-to-market strategist is to amplify the conditions for people to consume, share, and say the right things in all the different channels, online and off. So like COVID really brought people online that might not have made that push to get online because they didn't need to. And then they had no other option. So now we know everyone has that capacity. You can't say, oh, my customers aren't online, because everyone had to figure it out. And I kind of transitioned to CD Smith from Beagle Stone at a unique time, because I got to stay through Beagle Stone when COVID came on. We had our website in place that was, it had traditionally been distribution based, with dealers and distributors controlling the customer conversations and waiting for them to bring customers to us. But then we revamped the website and got online. And then when COVID came, we were positioned to receive all those inbound communications. And so that's kind of the same thing. That is the same thing I'm doing at CD Smith, is wrapping my arms around those target accounts by talking to them, understanding their needs with like a deeper understanding for their short and long-term goals, by observing and becoming part of those conversations, because you need to know their problems before you can provide a solution. And so this is where I'm different, and like my background makes me different. Having been in sales, is that if you're only trying to do like the traditional marketing things and trying to get people in real life, you're missing out on all of those conversations or opportunities to use strategic content. Like, you're in content, right? To use strategic content and messaging across the social media channels, and like capitalize on the connectivity of the internet, because they have the internet in their pocket all day long. And, combining that with the tried and true events and relationship buildings at trade shows is what helps you stand out, especially when other traditional companies aren't doing that.
No, I think you're spot on. And I you certainly, with your background that you shared at the beginning of the show as well, leads context to show, how your expertise, I'm sure, is a real asset at CD Smith and in everything that you're doing. So, Tracy, where can people go to learn more about, CD Smith Construction?
Well, we're on all the social channels. I make sure. So we're on LinkedIn, also Facebook, and all those things drive you to our website. I'm always like on local news and everything. I'm always sharing that to amplify the information and what's happening out there. So yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, Tracy, as we start to wrap up this conversation, is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with, whether it be a note about CD Smith, any advice, anything that you want to leave our listeners with?
The best advice I received, and that I've kind of been talking about throughout, and that you can apply to any part of marketing or your career or business, is that you can learn from everyone. So my SVP, Holly Brenner, she gave me this piece of advice, and she's like an empathetic leader. And if you start with humility and curiosity, you're going to uncover things that you never would have otherwise. And by learning and listening first, you can set yourself apart and really give people what they need more. So
I love that. That's fantastic. Well, Tracy, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate all of your insights. I think, our listeners are going to love to hear the great things that CD Smith is doing. And certainly, all the great things that you've done and leading up to where you are now. So I really appreciate you being on Business Ninjas today.
all right. Thanks for having me, Kelsey.
Yeah, great to have you.